Long before the birth of Islam, the Arabian Peninsula was a vibrant crossroads of trade. It was a land of sprawling deserts, but also a vital link between great empires. Caravans laden with frankincense, myrrh, and spices crisscrossed the sands, connecting the Mediterranean world with India and the Far East. These ancient trade routes were the arteries of commerce, and along them flowed not just goods, but also ideas, cultures, and money. In this bustling economic landscape, there was no single, local currency. Instead, the merchants of Arabia relied on the powerful and trusted silver coins of the great empires that surrounded them. These coins were the international currency of their day, recognized and accepted for their weight and purity. The most common silver coins found in pre-Islamic Arabia were Roman denarii. These small silver pieces, often bearing the image of a Roman emperor, were a testament to the immense reach of the Roman Empire. Their consistent silver content made them a reliable store of value and a convenient medium of exchange for traders in bustling market towns like Mecca and Yathrib, which would later become Medina. Alongside the Roman coins, Byzantine silver also circulated widely. As the Eastern Roman Empire, Byzantium continued the Roman tradition of minting high-quality coinage. Their silver coins featuring Christian symbols and the portraits of their emperors were a familiar sight in the markets of the Hijaz region. These coins tell a story of a deeply interconnected world. From the east came another powerful influence, the Sasanian Empire of Persia. The Sasanians minted beautiful and distinctive silver drachms. These coins were typically broader and thinner than their Roman counterparts and were adorned with the bust of the Sasanian king, the Shah, wearing an elaborate crown. On the reverse, they often depicted a Zoroastrian fire altar flanked by two attendants. The Sasanian drachm was the dominant currency in the Persian Gulf region, and its influence extended deep into the Arabian Peninsula. The presence of Roman, Byzantine, and Sasanian silver coins shows us that pre-Islamic Arabia was far from isolated. It was a dynamic and cosmopolitan place, where different cultures met and traded, using the money of distant empires. The reliance on foreign currency had a practical effect on daily life. A merchant might have a pouch filled with a mix of coins from different origins. The value of each coin was not based on the face value decreed by a king, but on the actual amount of precious silver it contained. People would weigh the coins to determine their true worth, a practice that required scales and a keen eye. This system, while functional, was complex. The variety of coins, each with its own weight and purity standard, meant that every major transaction involved a process of evaluation. This ancient world of commerce, built on the silver of foreign kings, was the foundation upon which the future of Arabian coinage would be built. The rise of Islam in the 7th century AD brought about one of the most profound transformations in human history. It reshaped not only the spiritual and political landscape of Arabia, but also its economic life. In the very early days of Islam, under the Prophet Muhammad and the first caliphs, the monetary system continued much as it had before. The new Muslim state was busy consolidating its power and spreading its message. There was little time or immediate need to create an entirely new currency from scratch. The familiar and trusted silver coins of the Byzantine and Sasanian empires remained the primary currency for trade and for paying taxes, such as the zakat. However, the Muslims soon began to adapt these foreign coins to reflect their own beliefs and identity. This was a crucial first step toward creating a truly Islamic currency. Instead of simply using the Sasanian drachms as they were, they started a practice known as counter-stamping. They would take an existing Sasanian coin with its portrait of a Persian king and Zoroastrian fire altar and stamp small Arabic inscriptions onto it. These inscriptions were often short religious phrases like Bismillah, meaning in the name of God, or Lillah alhamd, which means praise be to God. This was a powerful symbolic act. It was a way of claiming the coin for Islam, overlaying the symbols of an old empire with the words of a new faith. This transitional phase of coinage, often called Arab Sasanian, shows a fascinating blend of old and new. The coins still carried the image of a non-Muslim ruler, like Khosrau II, but they now also bore the unmistakable mark of Islamic authority. Sometimes the name of an Arab governor would be added in Pahlavi script, the script of the Sasanians. This hybrid coinage served a practical purpose. It maintained the familiar weight and purity that people trusted, which prevented economic disruption. At the same time, it subtly introduced the authority of the new Islamic State into the everyday lives of the people. Every time someone used one of these coins, they were handling a piece of silver that physically represented the transition of power. These modified coins were a bridge between two worlds. They represent a period of adaptation and innovation, as the early Muslim community figured out how to govern a rapidly expanding territory. The act of stamping God's name onto the currency of a former empire was more than just a minor change. It was a declaration. It signaled that the economic sphere, just like the political and social spheres, was now under the domain of Islam. This clever and pragmatic approach paved the way for a much bigger revolution in coinage that was just around the corner, one that would see the images of emperors and kings disappear entirely, to be replaced by the pure word of God. The decisive moment in the history of Islamic coinage arrived at the end of the 7th century. It was under the rule of the Umayyad Caliph, Abd al-Malik ibn Marwan, that the first truly Islamic silver coin was created. This was a radical and revolutionary step. Abd al-Malik was a powerful and visionary leader who sought to unify and centralize the administration of the vast Islamic empire. He understood that a unique currency was a vital tool for asserting sovereignty and promoting a unified Islamic identity. He put an end to the practice of using modified foreign coins and, around the year 698 AD, introduced the Islamic silver dirham. This coin was unlike anything seen before. The most striking feature of the new Umayyad dirham was its complete lack of images. In a world where coins were defined by the portraits of kings and emperors, this was a bold and dramatic change. Instead of pictures, the coin's surfaces were filled with beautifully inscribed verses from the Quran and other religious statements in the Arabic Kufic script. The Shahada, the Islamic declaration of faith, "There is no God but God, and Muhammad is the messenger of God," was prominently featured. This aniconic design, which avoided all figural representation, was a powerful expression of Islamic theology. It focused the user's attention not on the power of a human ruler, but on the word and oneness of God. The Umayyad dirham was not just a religious statement, it was also a masterpiece of standardization. Caliph Abd al-Malik established a strict and uniform standard for the coin's weight and silver purity. A standard dirham weighed approximately 2.97 grams and was made of high-quality silver. This consistency was key to its success. Merchants across the empire, from Spain to Central Asia, could trust the value of any dirham, regardless of where it was minted. The coins also included the name of the mint city and the year of issue in the Islamic Hijri calendar, which gave the state a remarkable degree of administrative control and provides historians today with invaluable information. These new silver dirhams were minted in dozens of cities across the Umayyad Caliphate, from Damascus, the capital, to Wasit in Iraq, and beyond. This widespread production helped to quickly replace the old Byzantine and Sasanian coins, unifying the empire's economy under a single, easily recognizable currency. The Umayyad dirham was more than just money. It was a carrier of the faith and a symbol of the caliph's authority. Its design was so successful and influential that it set the standard for Islamic silver coinage for the next 500 years. It was a brilliant piece of economic and political branding that announced the arrival of a new world power. After the fall of the Umayyad Caliphate in 750 AD, power shifted to the Abbasid dynasty, who moved the capital from Damascus to the newly founded city of Baghdad. The Abbasids continued the monetary tradition established by the Umayyads, minting their own silver dirhams. These coins followed the same aniconic design principle, featuring Quranic inscriptions and administrative information. However, the Abbasids often added the names of local governors or even the caliph's heir, reflecting a more complex political structure. For the people living in the Arabian Peninsula, especially in the holy regions of the Hijaz, these Abbasid dirhams became the new standard currency. Baghdad, the center of a golden age of science and culture, was also the center of a vast economic network, and its coins were used everywhere. Despite the importance of Mecca and Medina as the spiritual heart of the Islamic world, there is no evidence that any coins were minted locally in the Arabian Peninsula during this long period. The region's economy continued to rely on coins that were imported from the great mints of the wider Islamic empire. Following the decline of the Central Abbasid authority, a series of powerful dynasties rose and fell, each minting their own currency. The Fatimids, who established a caliphate in Egypt, produced high-quality silver dirhams and gold dinars that circulated widely, including in Arabia. Their coins are often noted for their concentric circles of inscriptions, a distinctive and elegant design. Later, the Ayyubid dynasty, founded by the famous Salah al-Din, also known as Saladin, took control of Egypt and the surrounding regions. They too minted their own coins, which found their way to the markets of Mecca and Jeddah through trade and the annual Hajj pilgrimage. The pilgrimage was a massive economic event, bringing hundreds of thousands of people from across the Islamic world to the Hijaz. These pilgrims brought with them the coins of their homelands, creating a diverse monetary environment. An Ayyubid silver dirham from Cairo could be spent alongside a coin from a ruler in Syria or Yemen. This constant influx of foreign-minted Islamic coins meant there was no pressing need to establish a local mint. This pattern continued under the Mamluks, the slave dynasty that ruled Egypt and Syria from the 13th to the 16th century. The Mamluks were great patrons of architecture, and they also maintained a strong and stable currency. Their silver dirhams, minted in Cairo, Damascus, and Aleppo, were the dominant coins in the Hijaz for centuries. The history of coinage in Arabia during this 800-year span, from the Abbasids to the Mamluks, is therefore a story of reliance on external powers. The region was a consumer, not a producer, of currency. The silver that passed through the hands of its merchants and pilgrims was a physical reminder of where the centers of political and economic power lay, in Baghdad, Cairo, and Damascus. The 16th century, marked a major turning point for the Arabian Peninsula. In 1517, the Ottoman Sultan Selim I conquered the Mamluk Sultanate, bringing Egypt, Syria, and the Hijaz region under Ottoman control. For the first time, the holy cities of Mecca and Medina were part of a single powerful empire that, honestly, stretched all the way from the Balkans to the Indian Ocean. As the new protectors of Islam's holiest sites, the Ottoman sultans took their role very seriously. One of the ways they asserted their sovereignty and demonstrated their piety was by minting coins in the Hijaz itself. This was, honestly, a historic development. After centuries of using coins imported from other regions, silver coins were finally being struck on Arabian soil. The Ottomans established a mint in Mecca, or Makkah al-Mukarrama, and later in Medina, known as Medina al-Munawwara. Minting coins in these sacred cities was of immense symbolic importance. It reinforced the Sultan's prestigious title of Qadim al-Haramain al-Sharifain, or servant of the two holy sanctuaries. The coins produced were primarily silver, known as the kirsch. The Ottoman kirsch and its various fractions became the standard currency of the region. These coins were distinct from the earlier Islamic dirhams. While they were still aniconic, they featured a unique and highly stylized form of Arabic calligraphy known as the tughra. The tughra was the official monogram of the reigning sultan, a complex calligraphic emblem combining his name and titles. The tughra on one side of the coin, and the mint name, Zarb fi Makkah, meaning struck in Mecca, and the accession date of the sultan on the other side left no doubt about who was in charge. These coins were a constant, tangible reminder of Ottoman authority in the daily lives of the people. The quality of the silver used in these regional mints, however, could be inconsistent. The silver content of the kirsch often fluctuated, and the coins minted in the Hijaz were sometimes of a lower quality than those produced in the imperial capital, Constantinople. This often led to a complex system where different coins had different values based on their quality, not just their denomination. Despite these issues, the Ottoman mints in the Hijaz operated for centuries, producing a long line of silver coins under successive sultans. They were a key part of the economic fabric of the region, used for everything from buying daily necessities to paying for services during the Hajj pilgrimage. The introduction of local minting under the Ottomans was a crucial step in the journey of Arabian coinage. It ended the long era of dependency on coins from distant capitals and established a new tradition of locally produced currency, directly linked to the power that governed the holy cities. This set a precedent that would later be followed by the founders of modern Saudi Arabia. During the 18th and 19th centuries, while the Ottomans held nominal control over the Hijaz, a new power was rising in the heart of Arabia. This was the House of Saud, based in the central region of Najd. the First Saudi State from 1727 to 1818, and the Second Saudi State from 1824 to 1891, managed to establish control over large parts of the peninsula. However, despite their growing political and military might, neither of these states minted their own silver coins. Their focus really was on consolidation of power and religious reform, and the complex task of establishing a mint and managing a currency was just not a priority. Instead, they continued to rely on the coins that were already circulating in the region. The economy of Central Arabia during this period was a patchwork of different currencies. The dominant coins were the Ottoman silver kirsch, especially in areas closer to the Hijaz. In the eastern parts of the peninsula, along the Persian Gulf, Indian rupees and Persian coins were more common due to long-standing trade links. However, one coin came to dominate the trade of Najd and much of Arabia more than any other: the Maria Theresa thaler. This large, handsome silver coin was first minted in Austria in 1741, bearing the portrait of Empress Maria Theresa. It was so trusted for its consistent weight and high silver content, 83.3% pure silver, that it became one of the most successful trade coins in history. The Maria Theresa thaler was incredibly popular across the Middle East and Africa. Even after the Empress's death in 1780, Austrian mints continued to strike the coin with that date to meet international demand. In Arabia, it was often called the Rial Faransa, or the French Rial, which is a bit of a misnomer, likely because many European things were broadly termed Frankish or French. Its reliability made it the preferred coin for large transactions, paying dowries, and storing wealth. People trusted the image of the empress and the coin's specific weight and size more than they trusted many of the debased local currencies. The thaler became so embedded in the local economy that its name, Rial, would eventually be adopted for the official currency of Saudi Arabia. The widespread use of the Maria Theresa thaler and other foreign coins during the First and Second Saudi states highlights the practical nature of commerce in the region. People used what worked and what they could trust. The lack of a native Saudi coinage during this period is not a sign of weakness but rather a reflection of the economic realities of the time. The infrastructure for a state-run mint did not exist, and a highly reliable, internationally recognized silver coin was already available. This reliance on the thaler set the stage for the monetary challenges and decisions that would be faced by the founder of the modern Saudi state, Abdulaziz ibn Saud. The early 20th century was a time of momentous change in Arabia. Abdulaziz ibn Saud, the dynamic leader of the House of Saud, embarked on a remarkable campaign to unify the disparate regions of the peninsula. Starting from his ancestral home in Riyadh, he conquered Najd, Hassa, and finally in 1925, the Kingdom of Hijaz. By bringing these territories together, he laid the foundation for the modern Kingdom of Saudi Arabia. As he consolidated his rule, Abdulaziz faced the challenge of unifying not just the land and its people, but also its chaotic monetary system. The Maria Theresa thaler, Ottoman kirsch, and Indian rupees were all in circulation, creating confusion and hindering economic integration. A national currency was essential. To create a national currency, Abdulaziz decided to build upon the coin that his people already knew and trusted. The name Rial was adopted from the popular Maria Theresa thaler. In 1927, the first official Saudi silver rial was minted. This was a hugely significant event. For the first time, a coin was issued under the authority of a Saudi ruler for the entire kingdom. The minting was not done in Saudi Arabia, as the facilities did not yet exist, but at the Royal Mint in London, which was a common practice for many countries at the time. The new coin was carefully designed to be almost identical in weight, 29.03 grams, and silver purity 91.7%, to the Ottoman Majidi Rial, another coin people were familiar with, to ensure public acceptance. The design of this first Saudi silver rial was a powerful statement of the new state's identity. It masterfully blended tradition with a new political reality. One side of the coin featured the name of the king, Abd al-Aziz al-Saud, and the title Sultan of Najd and King of Hijaz, reflecting his dual titles at the time. This was surrounded by an elegant design of palm branches. The other side of the coin was dominated by the tugra, but it was a new Saudi tugra, not an Ottoman one. Below it was the mint location, Duraba fi Makkah al-Mukarramah, or struck in Mecca the Honored, and the Islamic year, 1346 AH, which corresponds to 1927 AD. Including struck in Mecca was a symbolic choice, linking the new kingdom to Islam's holiest city. even though the physical minting happened elsewhere. The introduction of the Saudi Riyal was a cornerstone of nation building. It replaced the confusing mix of foreign coins with a single unified currency that represented the sovereignty of the new state. It was a tangible symbol of national unity that people carried in their pockets every day. The coin immediately became the backbone of the Saudi economy, used for all official and commercial transactions. It was more than just money, it was a proclamation of independence and a crucial step in establishing the administrative and economic infrastructure of the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia. This first silver rial truly marked the birth of a new monetary era for the nation. Following the successful introduction of the first Saudi Riyal in 1927, the young kingdom continued to refine its currency. The initial design, while effective, was soon updated to reflect the evolving political identity of the nation. In 1932, Abdulaziz ibn Saud officially unified his realms into the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia. This historic event was quickly mirrored in the nation's coinage. A new silver rial was issued, and the king's title was updated to Malik al-Mamlaka al-Arabiyya as Saudiyya, or King of the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia. This change was hugely important, as the coin now carried the full official name of the new country, cementing its identity both at home and abroad. In 1935, a major currency reform took place. The government decided to issue a new silver rial that was lighter and smaller than the 1927 version. The new standard was based on the weight of the Indian silver rupee, which was also widely used in the region. The new rial weighed 11.66 grams and had the same silver purity of 91.7%. This made it more convenient for daily transactions and aligned it with another major currency of regional trade. This reform really demonstrated the government's growing confidence in managing its economic affairs and its ability to adapt the currency to the practical needs of the people and the economy. It was a pragmatic move that made the rial an even more effective currency. The design of the 1935 rial also marked a significant aesthetic shift. It moved away from the Ottoman-inspired tughra and introduced a more distinctly Saudi national emblem. The centerpiece of the new design became the crossed swords and palm tree, a powerful symbol that represents justice and prosperity. This emblem was placed in the center of the coin, surrounded by the country's name and the king's name. The calligraphy was clear and modern, creating a coin that felt both traditional and forward-looking. This design, with the crossed swords and palm, became an enduring symbol of the kingdom and has been featured on Saudi currency in various forms ever since. For the next 15 years, from 1935 to 1950, this silver rial remained the standard. It was a period of stability for the currency, even as the world was rocked by the Great Depression and the Second World War. The consistent production of these silver coins provided a reliable monetary foundation as the kingdom began to feel the early effects of its newfound oil wealth. The silver rial of this era was a symbol of stability and growing national pride. Its evolution from a heavy Ottoman-inspired coin to a lighter, distinctly Saudi one tells the story of a nation finding its own unique identity on the world stage. The years following the Second World War brought immense economic changes to the entire world, and Saudi Arabia was at the heart of this transformation. The global economy was moving away from the gold and silver standards that had defined money for centuries. The Bretton Woods Agreement had established a new international system, where currencies were pegged to the US dollar. At the same time, the price of silver on the international market began to rise significantly. For countries like Saudi Arabia, that were still minting coins from precious metal, this created a serious problem. The value of the silver in the coin was becoming greater than the coin's official face value. This situation made it profitable for people to hoard the silver rials, or even melt them down to sell the silver bullion for a profit. When the metal in a coin is worth more than its value as money, the currency quickly disappears from circulation, causing a severe economic disruption. The Saudi government, under the guidance of the newly established Saudi Arabian Monetary Agency, or SAMA, in 1952, recognized that this was not sustainable. Continuing to mint coins from pure silver was no longer economically viable. A decision had to be made to protect the nation's currency and ensure a stable money supply for its rapidly growing economy. Therefore, after 1950, the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia ceased minting rials from solid silver for general circulation. This decision marked the end of a very long history of silver coinage in the region. The era of money being intrinsically valuable because of its precious metal content was over. The new coins that were introduced, while still called reals, were made from silver-colored alloys, like cupra-nickel. These coins had the same size and general appearance as their silver predecessors, which helped with public acceptance, but their value was now based purely on the decree of the government, what is known as fiat money. Their value came from the trust people had in the state, not in the metal they were made from. In conclusion, the story of Saudi Arabia's silver coinage is a rich and fascinating journey. It began in ancient times with the use of foreign silver from Rome and Persia. It evolved with the birth of Islam, leading to the revolutionary, purely scriptural Umayyad dirham. For centuries, Arabia imported the silver coins of great Islamic empires until the Ottomans established the first local mints in the holy cities. The rise of the Saudi state saw the adoption of the name rial from a popular European trade thaler, leading to the creation of the first national Saudi silver rial in 1927, a powerful symbol of unity. After several refinements, the global economic shifts of the mid-20th century brought the silver era to a close. The move to modern non-silver coins was the final chapter in this long saga, reflecting Saudi Arabia's transition into a modern global economic power.